Welcome, dear students. Today, in chapter 3, we're going to start the studying the sexual reproduction in the human, and after that, we're going to start and differentiate between the sexual organs between male and female, and how can we differentiate between them. Let's start our lesson today. Formation of seeds and fruits after fertilization. Okay, we already studied and we learned how the pollination happens and how the fertilization happens. But why we need for pollination and fertilization? This is the final product that we need. Formation of seeds or formation of fruits that we need it and for our life. Well, after that, the zygote, remember that. We say that the zygote, it grows more and more and to form the embryo, okay? And this embryo, it consumes and it eats all stored foods in the nucleus, okay? But what gonna be happen after that? The endospermic nucleus, it divides, okay, to give the endosperm tissue. This endospermic tissue supplies the early developing embryo with the food. But the endosperm, it may remain outside the embryo and occupying, okay, a part of the seed. These types of seed, we call it what? Endospermic seed, like what? Like wheat, greens like maize, like barley. Most of them, they are monocots, okay? Most of them, okay? Like maize and wheat. And some type of them or some endospermic plants, the integuments that surround the ovule, okay, and you need to remember the integuments that surround the ovule, okay, except a tiny hole which is called micropyle. Excellent. The ovule fuse with the ovary wall, okay, and form single seed fruit. We call this fruit what? Grain. And this is a difference between the formation of grains and the previous information. While the endospermic tissue, it may consume during embryonic development, and these seeds are called ex-endospermic seed, like pea and bean. Okay, again, I need to differentiate between formation of endospermic seed and the ex-endospermic seed. In case of the ex-endospermic seed, what's happening here? The endospermic tissue, absolutely what? It consumed, okay, during embryonic development or formation of the embryo. And this seed, we call it ex-endospermic, like pea and bean. In case of ex-endospermic seeds, the cotyledon, I mean the two parts, okay, the cotyledon is main part, okay, are formed to store food required for growth of a plumule and also radicle during early germination stages. And also in the ex-endospermic seed, it consists of cotyledons, embryo, and testa. Remember, I'm going to discuss the testa with you right now. Again, we said that ex-endospermic seed, it consists of what? How many parts? Cotyledons, okay, the parts of storing food, embryo itself, and the testa. Well, while the synergid cells, they are what? And antipodal cells. Do you remember the synergid and antipodal cells? Well, antipodal cells, they are cells that are away from the microbiome, while the antipodal cells, they are cells that what? They are near to the what? They are surround or side to side to the exon. They are disappeared. We don't need anymore for their function, the synergid cells and antipodal cells. While the two integuments of the ovule, they are hardened, okay, they are become more stuff, very hard, and form something called what? Testa. This is the testa as I told you. So the testa, it is a very hard integument, okay, the two integuments of the ovule that surround the ovule, except a tiny part or tiny hole which is called micropyle. They are hardened, they are increased in the stiffening and form something called seed testa, the cover of the seed. While calyx, corolla, stamens, style, and stigma, they are wilt, they are disappeared, they are fallen down, and they are fall out. But we have here some exceptions. Some exceptions. Do you think that calyx and corolla, some type of plants, they are may share or maybe not sharing the reproduction or formation of seeds? Listen to know that actually the ovary remains and store food. Okay, ripen is mean it becomes ready for eating. Okay, forming fruit due to what? The auxins. Who can remember the auxins which is secreted by the ovary? As you remember, auxins, as we said from the last chapter, they are what? They are hormones of the plant, auxins. Okay, they are responsible for what? Yes, for formation of fruit, fallen fruit, and so on. The microbial hole, the tiny hole, okay, that remains at one of its end, because the integument, okay, they aren't covered the microbiome, as we said, and after that, the ovaries will become what? Pericarp that varies in the different fruits. It varies or differ from one fruit to another according to the type of the plant. We have a give reason here for you. A presence of micropyle in the ovule of the seed. Very simple question. Who can answer this question? Yes, we need what? We need reaching what? Reaching the generative cell nucleus, and also the nutrients. So the ovule is important for what? The passage of male nuclei inside the pollen tube for fertilization. Or if we don't have the micropyle, the integument, it will be hardened and forming testa, and the nucleus, the male nucleus cannot reach to the microbial and fertilize the egg cell. In the seed, for absorption also of water and air needed for germination. So it has two importance, one of them for the ovule, one of them for the seeds, for absorption of water, and it gives it the suitable amount of air for germination. We have something called false fruit. Do you remember that I've told you right now that, do you believe that sometimes the calyx and corolla may share in formation of fruit? Let's know it. We have something called false fruit. What does it mean? In which any part, okay, except the ovule, enlarges and stores food to form fruit, except the ovary, okay? Such as what? Such as apple. The receptacle of the apple, it shares in the fruit formation, and there is no any role in what? There is no any role for the ovary, and we call it what? False fruit. So if I'm going to ask you what does mean false fruit, you have to tell me what? It is any part of the flower, enlargement, and store food, okay, except the ovary itself. Like what? Like the apple. In the apple, the receptacle share information of the fruit. Some fruits keep some parts of the flower, like what? Stamens and calyx, as in pomegranate, and also the calyx, it remains like in eggplant, pepper, dates, and also tomato. While corolla, it remains as in marrow, okay? Sometimes the receptacle shares in the formation of the fruit, like an apple, as we said, it form what? Something called a false fruit. This is some information or some example of the sharing of other parts of the plant, or remaining other parts of the plant after process of the fertilization of the fruit. One, importance of pollination here. We need to know it to discuss the importance of pollination. Number one, it provides the flower with the male cell needed for fertilization, and also the ovule develops into the seed. So if there is no pollination happens, the male gamete or male organ, it will never reach to the what? It will never reach to the female, and there is no seed formed. Also, it stimulates the auxins, as we said, the hormones of the plant, which is necessary for developing the ovary into mature fruit. So, if there is no pollination, we have a lot of series or a lot of sequence that they are connected together. Like what? Like if there is no pollination, there is no stimulation for auxins, and there is no fruit formation. Even if the fertilization doesn't take place. Remember that the pollination, if the pollination happens, the fruit, it may be formed, okay, if there is no fertilization happen, and this is one of the greatest information here. We have a question here for you. Maturation of the fruits and seeds, it leads to discontinuity of the plant growth and sometimes to death, especially in annual plants. I mean the plant that we plant it every year, okay? Annuals mean every year. Because of what? Due to what? The consumption of the stored food and inhibition of hormones. I mean they doesn't work anymore. The hormone, what? They don't work anymore. We have something called parthenocarpy. Again, we have a title or something called parthenocarpy, and I need you just to open mind enough to understand the meaning of parthenocarpy. Well, it is formation of seedless fruit without fertilization. As we said, the pollination, it causes what? Stimulation of auxins or hormones of the plant to form a fruit or to form fruits, but different way. Even the fertilization doesn't happen, okay? This idea or this type of fruit, we call it what? Parthenocarpy. This is a formation of seedless fruit. We can form what? Fruit without seeds and without fertilization. And it occurs naturally in banana and pine and also in apple. And we can do it artificially in cucumber, tomato, guava, by what? By spraying the flower with some activator, like some chemical like indolacetic acid or naphthoacetic acid. So we can do it artificially, and it happens naturally in artificially by using what? Some activators, like what? Like indolacetic acid and naphthoacetic acid. What does it mean? Again, parthenocarpy, formation of seedless fruit without fertilization, okay? And also we can use what? Spraying the stigma with extract of pollen grains. We can extract or can take some of the pollen grains in such a way and stimulate the ovary to form a fruit without what? Also fertilization. Get the difference? But we have a note here. If the pollination and fertilization, they do not take place, okay, the flower wither and drop, and there is no fruit will be formed, okay? Right now, we're going to start in the reproduction in the human beings. Well, to study the reproduction in the human, we need to know what? Man, it belongs to what? The mammalian, in which the embryo develops inside the uterus of the female till birth. And I know that you know this information, but what else? The eggs are small and nearly devoid of yolk, okay? I mean the ovum, okay? Exert mean ova. And what else? The number of youngs is a few due to what? As we said from the first episode in starting this chapter, as we said, what? The parental care. Parental care increases, the number of offsprings or individuals, what? Decreases. As we said it, inverse relation. So the number of youngs by their offsprings or by the individuals. Also, man shows a high degree of care. It's a very easy. What else? The young requires a lot or several years of raising. They need to grow up more and more in many years. This is due to what? The mental progress that Allah Azza wa Jal or the God provided him to be superior. I mean, to be, it has the ability for discussion, for argument, for wrong and right, and so on, to be superior over other creatures. The male genital system, we're going to start right now in the male genital system, and after that, female genital system, and finally, we're going to study the way of reproduction. Well, the male genital system, number one, it consists of two testes. Consists of what? Different glands. Number one, two testes. They are what? They lie outside the body in sac. We call this sac scrotum or scrotal sac. And it provides a cold temperature for spermatogenesis. I'm going to discuss it step by step. Again, we have two glands. They are cold testes, okay? And they are lie outside the body for what? For formation and production of sperms. Why? They need a temperature lower than your body temperature by 2 degrees, okay? If the temperature of the testes more than or like your body temperature 37, the spermatogenesis, what does it mean? Spermatogenesis mean what? Formation of sperms, simply. The spermatogenesis or formation of sperms will not happen, okay? And after that, in the last month of the pregnancy, okay, we are talking about the male inside uterus mom. Again, we are right now talking about what? The male inside what? Inside his uterus mom. Well, in the last month of the pregnancy, the testes move outside the body in scrotum or scrotal sac. After that, if they fail to descend, to fall outside the body, the male will be what? Infertile. Infertile, it's mean what? It doesn't have ability. He doesn't have ability to reproduce, okay? This is the meaning of infertile, and spermatogenesis or formation and production of sperms doesn't happen. What about the function of two testes? Number one, production of sperms or male reproductive gametes. Number two, secretion of some hormones, as we started in the last chapter, like testosterone hormone, okay, which is responsible for appearing of the secondary male character, okay, which is responsible for secondary male characteristics like what? Appearing of puberty and harsh of voice and enlargement of bones and muscles and so on. Number two, again, after testes, we have something called epididymis, and this is followed by the testes. And epididymis are long convoluted tube. They lie along the side of each testis. Okay? What about the function of the epididymis? Well, they are receive sperms from testis and destroy them. Remember that. We have here two parts. One of them for storing, okay, and one of them for releasing. The testis, it has an important role for formation. Okay, but the testes, they are what? They aren't to store any sperms, while the epididymis, they have what? They have ability to receive and store these sperms. Okay, well, third part, again we said what? Testes, epididymis. Number 3, vas deferens. The vas deferens, they are a muscular duct that transfers sperms from epididymis to the urethra, okay, or urinogenital opening. Urethra is what? The urinogenital opening, the opening that is common between the genital system and what? The other system. Number 4, the seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle, we have a different type of glands inside the male reproductive organ. Seminal vesicle, it secretes what? Alkaline fluid, I mean basic fluid, contains what? Contains fructose and also some nutrients for what? To feed the sperms. So we have the journey of the sperm that starts from the testis reaching to the vas deferens. Okay, remember with me here, testes that form the sperms, and we need these sperms to store for a time, just a little period of time, inside what? Inside epididymis. After that, we have something that pass it and secrete fructose, okay, to give it power to move in its journey. After that, we have what? Prostate gland and Cooper's gland. Right now, we studied testis. It's also a kind or type of gland because it secretes what? Testosterone hormone. And after that, we have what? Prostate and Cooper's gland. And by the way, Cooper is the name of the scientist who discovered this gland. They have an important function in what? Production of what? Sugary fluid. But the vas deferens already, or seminal vesicle, it did. It secreted fructose, but we need much more energy for its journey reaching to the ovum and fertilizer. So the previous two glands, Cooper's glands and prostate gland, they have an important function in production of sugary fluid, also to feed the sperms, and also production of what? Alkaline or basic fluid to what? To neutralize the acidity of the urine in the urethra before passing of sperms. Let me explain it. Well, what does it mean neutralize? Well, actually, the urine, as we said, the sperms and urine, they are bath from the same tube, which is urinogenital tube, okay? But how can we imagine that the sperms, they are very weak and they are need to reach to the ovum in the safe places, and at the same time the urine has a high acidity, so the acidity of the urine within the urinogenital duct or within the urethra, it may damage the sperms. So we need something to neutralize the acidity of the urethra. This is a function of what? Of two glands of Cooper's and prostate gland to produce what? Alkaline fluid that neutralizes the acidity of the urine in the urethra before, or urinogenital opening before passage of the sperms. Finally, it facilitates and helps the sperm in their journey or motility of the sperms. Penis, it is the last organ that we have, which is a spongy tissue organ that contains the urethra or urinogenital opening, okay, and the urine also, and the sperm are expelled from it separately to outside. By the meaning, what does it mean separately? I mean that the urine and the sperms, they cannot pass at the same time. No, but this is meant of separately. One of them passes in, or one of them is comes outside before the other. Okay, and this is a form of male genital system as you know it. Rapidly we're going to revise it. It consists of two testes. They are lie outside the body in the scrotum or scrotal sac, and also we have here two different glands, Cooper's gland and the prostate gland, and we have epididymis which receive and store sperms till passing it to the seminal vesicle, and finally what, the penis, which is the tissue organ. That is all about the male genital system. Well, to study more and more about how the sperms are formed inside the testis, we need to study a transverse section of the testis. Well, each testis, okay, consists of large number of fine convoluted tubes. They are called what? Seminiferous tubules. Okay, convoluted mean what? They are twisted over and over around each other. Between the seminiferous tubules, there are what? Some types of cells. They are called interstitial cells. They are called what? Interstitial cells. These interstitial cells produce the male hormones that produce male hormones, which is like testosterone. Between spermatogonia, there are Sertoli cells that feed the sperms. So we have some type of cells. They are secrete hormones of the male. Others that feed the sperm, they are called Sertoli cells inside the testis, and they give them the immunization function. Immunization is means that they give them the powerful. This is the next chapter that we're going to study, immunity in our body. Okay. What else? Each tubule is lined inside internally with the primary cells or primary germ cells. Each one of these cells is carried what? They are carry the full of the genetic materials, which is 2N diploid. Till now, there is no any meiotic division. They are divided and transformed into sperms. And we have here a TS of the testis that show us the spermatids and the spermatocytes, and after that the first spermatocyte and the spermatogonia and interstitial cells that in between those cells, and we have here also Sertoli cells. Okay, the left side picture, this is under microscope, while the right side is just diagrammatic to understand. Okay, well, we need also to study the phases of spermatogenesis. Again, spermato it means sperms, genesis it means creation. So the whole word it means how the sperms are created or formed and manufactured inside the testis. Number one, multiplication phase. The multiplication phase is just a primary germ cells, okay, that line seminiferous tubules. They divide mitotically to give us a large number of spermatogonia, which is diploid. And what else? Number two, the growth phase. So we studied the first one. Number two, the growth phase. The spermatogonia store amount of food, okay, that transformed into primary spermatocytes. So we have here two different spermatocytes, which also diploid or carry full number of genetic material. The third one, after growth phase, which is maturation phase, that's what we need right now. The primary spermatocytes, 2N, they are undergo it, yes, by meiosis division, meiotically, okay, under meiosis 1, to produce a secondary spermatocytes. Each one cell gives us what? Yes, gives us 4. After that, the secondary spermatocytes, which carries the half of genetic material, it undergoes meiosis 2 to produce to give us what? The haploid spermatids. Okay, and the last one, or the metamorphosis phase, the spermatids are converted into sperms. Okay, and we have a picture here to show us what happened in the spermatogenesis. We have the primary germ cells, they are 2n, okay, and after that they are formed into spermatogonia, 2n, and the first mitotic division, which is spermatocyte 2n. After that, spermatocyte change or convert into spermatocyte. Each one of them, yes, carries half of genetic material. This is what meiosis 1. What else? The spermatocyte undergoes in what? In the meiosis 2 to give us what? Spermatids. Each one of them also carries half of genetic material. Finally, each spermatid, it converts into sperm surrounded cell by a suitable amount or suitable cytoplasmic envelope or something like that, and they are changed into what? Convert and change into sperms to give us what? 4 sperms. So each one cell gives us what? 4 proper and healthy sperms. On the other side, in the female reproductive organ, each one cell it to produce to give us what? Just to give us one ripe and a proper egg, and the other cells they are what? Degenerate.